Hi, how's it going? On a very special episode, I'd like to talk to you about a couple things. Um, First, there's this new reissue of Poster Children's first album. It's basically their first album, Flower Power. Um, this is from 1989, recorded in two different sessions, one with Steve Albini and one with Ian Burgess. Poster Children were early adopters of Steve Albini recording technology, and it sounds like a Steve Albini record, no doubt about it. Which different opinions out there about that, but I think it sounds great. Um, I got a cold, by the way, so I hope I can get through this with my voice. Um, and from Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, and they are one of the few Midwestern punk bands, or just any bands of that era, really, that kind of got swept up the Nirvana thing. Um, they got on a major label and they survived it. Um, they put out two or three albums on major labels, and that's when I got into them in the mid '90s when with their album Junior Citizen, which I think is maybe their third or their fourth album, must be. Anyway, so they've been reissuing their records these last several years, and they've been awesome. They've been all cut by Bob Weston. So again, Flower Power. There's from a couple years ago, Daisy Chain Reaction. This is the only one where they changed the cover on it. I've learned that the original cover was the only cover that the band didn't come up with and didn't approve of. So when it came time to reissue this, they wanted to do their own version of it. And then this is their most recent album that they recorded with Steve Albini. Came out in 2018, I believe. 2018. So they're just really really catchy, super high energy, certainly punk influenced. Um, yeah. And so I got a lot more insight into them. I mainly know them from seeing them in Iowa City. They used to play Iowa City a lot, and they played some of the best shows I've ever seen. Their records are really good, but like a lot of bands like this, their records don't do justice to what they were doing live. Live is just they were just it was just devastatingly good. They just were so incredible, so high energy, and you just couldn't help but love it. Um, Unwound is another band that comes to mind. House of Large Sizes is another band that comes to mind, of bands that are just incredible live. The Cows, um, their records are fine, but they don't really, you don't get the sense of how incredible they truly were. Um, Anyway, I got some more insight into this band because at the same time of this reissue, Rose Marshack, the bassist in Poster Children, released a memoir. And so it's sort of based on diary entries. And she sort of like uses that's sort of the forms the structure of the whole thing, but there's plenty of new prose in this. And blurred by Steve Albini and Ian Mackay. And Rebecca Buchanan, but I'm not familiar with her work. Um, and She's now a professor at Illinois State University. And I always kind of there's all kinds of details that I just didn't know about them. This is a really great read. It's hard for me to say if people who weren't involved in this scene would be into this. But she just name checks a lot of stuff that I was involved with. She talks about playing at Gabe's Oasis in Iowa City. That's where I cut my teeth as a musician. Um, and playing at the Cafe du Nord and Bottom of the Hill in San Francisco. Those are places I've played. So like, even though I never met them, I feel kind of intertwined with the story because we played some of the same places and we're kind of the same era, even though they're a little bit older than me. Um, anyway, I thought this is wonderful, and I just kind of wanted to get the word out about this. I guess no one's paying me to do this, but I just think this is a wonderful document of Upper Midwest independent music from a time when there was still regionality, when it still meant something to say that you're from a particular place. and the regional bands, regional labels. So a band like this that was big in the Upper Midwest, you might not have heard of them on the West Coast or whatever. And she talks about how they handled being on a major label and doing stuff like not taking tour support, not basically trying to stay as independent as possible, and like trying to use the major label to get their records in stores, which wasn't working out for them when they were on an indie. I don't know. They seem to be one of the few who did it right, who kind of got how you were supposed to do it, and so that they didn't implode when the major label deal ended. They just kept going. They took a big long break because Rose and oh God, I'm blanking on the rest of their names now, but she's she and the singer-songwriter are, well, I think they write together, but you know what I mean, are married, and then they had a kid, and so there was a long hiatus. I didn't know about that until I read this book, and they're back playing shows again. So anyway, Poster Children, Flower Power, and Rose Marshack's memoir are out now. And I loved them. I gobbled this stuff right up. I read this so quickly, yeah, I'm thrilled that they're doing this reissue campaign. I hope they're able to do the rest of their records. I've learned through that book that it wasn't so easy for them to get their hands on the materials to re-release stuff. But anyway, Poster Children, great band from way back when that I love. They're still around, and there's some interesting new stuff from them. Okay, thanks so long.